The most dedicated gun collectors don't just buy guns to put them in their vault, they shoot them too. To them, buying a new gun is as enjoyable as taking it to the range and putting it through its paces. Alas, there are ancient firearms models out there that command high prices on the collector's market because of their history. These models have seen better days and aren't exactly combat-worthy anymore. Some of these, typically ones that have a select fire switch, are really old mill SERP models. These are either illegal to own, owing to the fact that civilians are not legally allowed to own any fully automatic firearm, or cost a fortune. Owning and shooting these models is simply out of the question. Fortunately for the most avid gun collectors out there who want to have their cake and eat it too, some firearms manufacturers caught wind of this dilemma and endeavored to find a solution for this. Enter the world of Rimfire replicas, the most iconic, classic firearms models that became popular in the last century, reproduced, chambered in .22 long rifles. Kingston Armory M1 Garand and M14 10-22 rifles. When building .22 long rifle replicas of two of the most iconic weapons to grace the battlefield since the dawn of firearms, the best way to go about it is to adopt a rimfire action design with a proven track record of reliability. The process involves reconfiguring the original rifle's designs by modifying their stock's internal dimensions so that a more modern rimfire action like that of the Ruger 10-22 can be used. New York company Kingston Armory has been manufacturing high-quality rimfire replicas of both the M1 Garand and M14 using the Ruger's 10-22 semi-automatic action constructed from 4140 steel and built completely in-house. These actions allow for all Kingston M1 Garand and Kingston M14 replicas to shoot and feel almost as good as their ancient counterparts. Both models use national match sights that not only give them the aesthetically pleasing looks that their original forerunners are known for, but also catapults these rifles' status from mere replicas to target rifles of sorts. If you're in the market for an M1 Garand or M14 clone that can double as a plinking and varmint rifle, Kingston Armory's M1 Garand and M14 are more than worthy of consideration. Standard Manufacturing Model 22. The U.S. Marines started carrying the original Thompson submachine gun chambered for the venerable .45 ACP in 1921. Eventually, the U.S. Army started carrying these guns as well. A few years later, it was adopted by the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy in 1928. The Thompson would go through a number of design changes over the following years, and by the Second World War, two military variants, the M1 and M1A1, were in use throughout the U.S. Army. A half-scale replica of the original Thompson submachine gun chambered in .45 ACP, the Standard Manufacturing Company's Model 1922, is not as faithful of a reproduction as most of the other guns on this list. For one thing, the stock magazine it comes with can only accept 10 rounds of .22 long rifle. It can accept an optional 50-round magazine, but you'll have to buy those separately. Another difference it has over the original is that the Standard Manufacturing Model 22 uses a blowback action with a semicircular bolt, a large extractor, and a fixed ejector. As .20 long rifle ammo vary greatly in pressures, velocities, and energy levels, building a gun that resembles the iconic Chicago typewriter such that it would effectively cycle a whole range of rimfire ammo loads while still retaining the original aesthetic appeal and ergonomics is not an easy feat. Kudos to the engineers at Standard Manufacturing for coming up with this replica. The receiver's made from aluminum, which equates to significant weight savings as compared to a similarly configured .45 caliber Tommy gun. To be specific, an Auto Ordnance Corporation Model 1928A1 Thompson with an empty magazine weighs in at a heavy 10.8 pounds or 172.8 ounces. Being smaller and lighter, the scaled-down Standard Manufacturing Model 22 with an empty magazine weighs in at only 2.85 pounds or 46 ounces. This makes it a pleasure to shoot all day. In addition, the Standard Manufacturing Model 1922 uses a beautifully grained walnut stock with a pistol grip and foregrip and a hard black finish. The barrel measures 16.4 inches, giving the gun an overall length of 34.5 inches. No doubt, this has got to be one of the better replicas chambered for the .22 long rifle on the market today. American Tactical Imports STG-44. A major development in rifles during the Second World War, the Sturmgewehr 44, also known as the STG-44, is every gun collector's wet dream. Recognized as the first modern assault rifle, it was developed by the Germans with one thing in mind: to make them the most powerful fighting force on the battlefield. Unfortunately for them, as things turned out, even with this fine weapon they developed, they still lost the war. The STG-44 was a revolutionary rifle design, giving firepower down to the individual soldier level. Pundits say Mikhail Kalashnikov found inspiration in it, which paved the way for the design development and production of the AK-47 some 3 years after it was released. It was a major development of its day, and today it's possible to own an STG-44 replica chambered in .22 long rifle. Imported by American Tactical Imports, the German sports gun Schmeisser 22 looks about as good as the original. What with its shoulder stock, sights, barrel configuration, and hardwood pistol grip panels, it weighs 9.4 pounds or around 150.4 ounces and is available with 10-round or 25-round magazines inside a stylish box that looks like it came from over a century ago. The German sport gun Schmeisser 22 is definitely one of the most faithful World War II weapon reproductions out there. Chiappa 1911-22. Weighing in at 22 1/10 of a pound or around 33.6 ounces, the Chiappa is about 10 ounces lighter than the model it's attempting to replicate, the 1911 government model. This handgun boasts an all-steel frame and slide, a recoil spring just light enough to leverage the .22 long rifle's light recoil, and a fixed barrel, which is another departure from the original 1911 government model's design. With a finish that resembles the Parkerization used on the original 1911 government models from the Second World War, the Chiappa 1911-22 almost looks the part. In addition, it sports the same flat mainspring housing design found in early 1911 models, the long thumb safety from later 1911 models, and a variation of the Ithaca 1911 A1 Type 2 hammer design that became prevalent from late 1943 to 1945. As a bonus, there's an option to buy one with beautiful double diamond checkered wood grips to go along with its Parkerized finish for that timeless 1911 look. Without a doubt, it's a hybrid 1911 design that's as aesthetically pleasing as its ancient forerunner. American Tactical CSG AK-47. Another rimfire replica manufactured by German sport guns and imported into the United States by American Tactical Imports, the GSG AK-47 is a reproduction of the classic Kalashnikov rifle chambered for the .22 long rifle. But make no mistake, it's much more than just a copy. Unlike most shameless copies of the legendary rifle, the GSG AK-47 is the only AK-47 copy that is officially a Kalashnikov rifle, as GSG was licensed by Kalashnikov themselves to manufacture these replicas. Not only do these rifles look the part, they also perform admirably, regardless of the fact that they were built to chamber a rimfire cartridge. Rimfire cartridges, by virtue of their design, aren't exactly known for reliability, which is why centerfire cartridges came about in the first place. Like most of the rimfire replicas on our list, the GSG AK-47 is available with a 10-round or 24-round magazine and is loads of fun to shoot. If you're looking for a high-quality AK-47 replica that looks and shoots as good as the original, but one that you can shoot all day because .22 long rifle ammo is cheap, you really should consider purchasing one of these GSG AK-47s. Chiappa M122. Besides the iconic M1 Garand, the M1 carbine is probably one of the most recognizable firearms from the Second World War. As with the M1 Garand, the M1 carbine saw extended use out into the Cold War era. Robust, thick, and highly durable, the M1 carbine was built to last a lifetime. It's chambered in 7.62 by 33, or more commonly referred to in the gun community as the 30 carbine. The lightweight semi-automatic carbine served as the perfect in-between for when a soldier needed something more powerful than his handy 1911 in 45 ACP, but not something as cumbersome as the bulky M1 Garand. Fun fact: even though it was originally designed by John M. Browning's brother Ed Browning, along with David Marshall Williams and some of the best firearms engineers working for Winchester Repeating Arms Company, Most of the M1s produced during the Second World War were built by the most unlikely of companies, which include IBM, the Underwood Typewriter Company, General Motors, and the Rockola Jukebox Manufacturing Company. Although its development started before the United States even decided to enter World War II, the M1 carbine's final design was not approved by the Ordnance Department until October 22, 1941, just a few weeks before the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th of that same year. Lightweight, handy, and easily maneuverable, the M1 carbine remained in the hands of United States military forces well beyond the Second World War, being used in the Korean War and the Vietnam War before it would be superseded by the M14 and later on the M16. There were more than 6.5 million M1 carbines manufactured, varying in make and model. This makes it the most highly produced small arms used by the American military during its lifetime. In its reincarnated version, chambered for the .22 long rifle, the Chiappa M122 still has that same sling oiler slot in its stock and that forward slide sling mount. It was designed to be as faithful of a reproduction as it could be, with that stained hardwood stock complete with the steel butt plate. Most of its metal components are now CNC machined, but they're still interchangeable with those of the original M1 carbine. The Chiappa M122's rear sight is adjustable for windage and elevation and can be removed to make way for guide rails for mounting a scope. The rifle barrel and the bolt are both made out of steel, while the magazine and trigger guard both use a polymer composite. Its front sight post, rear aperture sight, bayonet lug, and barrel band also use polymer as well, while the trigger is made out of zinc alloy. Even with some of its parts made using modern materials, it's as aesthetically pleasing as its ancient counterpart, making it a really good rimfire replica for avid gun collectors. American Tactical Imports GSG MP40. Imported into the United States from Germany by American Tactical Imports, the GSG MP40 is one of the most faithful reproductions on our list of rimfire replicas, accurately mimicking the fully automatic machine and pistol 40 chambered in 9mm manufactured and carried by the Germans during the Second World War. Inspired by its predecessor, the MP38, the original MP40 was designed by Heinrich Vollmer to be carried extensively by infantrymen and paratroopers and armored vehicle personnel. Due to features considered to be highly advanced at the time, it became a favorite and gained popularity in countries all over the world even after the war. Some of the soldiers in the Allied forces referred to the MP40 as the Schmeisser after the designer of the Bergmann MP18, Hugo Schmeisser, even though he was never involved in its development. Most World War II movies, whether old or new, inaccurately depict the MP40 as the only submachine guns German soldiers carried during the Second World War. While these movies are inaccurate as far as its prevalence, the MP40 submachine gun was without a doubt one of the most prolific weapons of that era. It has that iconic look marked by its distinctive folding metal stock and the receiver's design. Weighing in at 8.3 pounds or 132.8 ounces, the American Tactical Imports MP40 reproduction has two versions, one chambered in 9mm, another chambered in a .22 long rifle. These guns boast an all-metal construction with some of the same features the old MP40s were known for. The new GSG MP40 uses authentic Bakelite grips, has a 17.2-inch barrel, a faux suppressor, and adjustable rear sights. Stock magazines can hold either 10 or 24 rounds, which isn't anything special, but shouldn't stop you from having fun on the range. All in all, American Tactical Imports GSG MP40 is one really good rimfire replica for the money. And there you have it, folks, 8 of the best rimfire replicas of some of the greatest firearms the world has ever known. Like, share, subscribe, and click on that bell icon so you don't miss out on new content.